The man who ran Coca-Cola and media giant Granada is usually paid in millions. But he'll be advising the lace dyers for free. Before heading to the Nottingham factory, Jerry is briefed. Self-made man Henry Chaplin bought the bankrupt business 9 months ago.
I still think there's a future in it. There's only one other dye house doing it in Nottingham. And if we give up this, then the Nottingham lace will disappear out of Nottingham.
Henry's son Richard worked his way up in his father's previous business. This time, he's the boss.
Every penny we've worked for is now in this business. If it fails, then we fail personally as well. We lose everything.
When the Chaplins bought the factory, they also got the workforce. Now they are at loggerheads.
There's no friendship anymore. All it is now, it's a job.
Well, he's got a tendency, if he gets mad about anything, to give people written warnings without letting them know what actually the problem was.
With the family fortune at stake, Henry and Richard are determined to get more out of their workers.
We have to push all the time. Push, push, push to get things done. We've got men sitting around the place here doing nothing.
These two are like the two old boys that used to sit up at the back of the Muppets. There's a sort of incredible aggression between them.
We've got 4 engineers on site. And when I go looking for them, they're all sat down having a cup of tea.
He clearly has got huge financial commitment. There's a panicky feel about him. He's frightened. That anger all comes out of insecurity.
You feel like putting a pair of overalls on and doing it yourself, but you can't do everything.
That he needs help is very alarmingly clear. I think it's going to be a pretty stressful experience.
Jerry heads to the Vernon Road Dyeing Company.
Hello, Richard. How you doing?
And gives Henry and Richard his first impression.
You've got a workforce that's pretty disillusioned. They see you buzzing around. You are frantic about making things happen more quickly than they do. There's a kind of aggression there, which is maybe isn't real at all, but stylistically, you're actually quite frightening.
That's I don't know how to take that.
You do frighten them, in my view, let alone kind of they're wary of you. I think you frighten them.
I mean, there's people here you haven't spoken to yet.
It's important, Richard, not to be defensive, because I think you're a decent bloke.
It's not defensive, it's just a little bit of, well, defending yourself a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that aggressive.
No, I understand. No, but believe me, you are. Whether you're aggressive or not, people perceive you to be aggressive, including myself.
That is a shock. The aggression side is a shock.
Jerry wants to find out more before he tells Richard how to put things right.
Are you actually making money, or...?
We are, but we're not making as much as we should be.
Richard desperately needs to increase production.
That is Nottingham lace.
The 100 shop floor workers dye fabric for the high street fashion industry. But the future is uncertain. If Richard can't improve performance, all their jobs could be lost.
The fabric's marked. A lot of fabric that's got holes in it, cuts in it, snags.
What do you think's happening?
I don't know what's happening, but it's just a big job to put it right. You've got to be on the factory floor all the time.
What is happening?
It's a quality issue. It's people. It's people.
Jerry gets a different story from the shop floor workers.
Just try and give me a feeling for how things are.
There's no feeling at all whatsoever.
No feeling at all?
No, and that's not just me saying that, it's everyone on the yard. That's the total feeling on the yard.
Trust. That's what they want from Richard, and that's what they're not getting at this moment in time.
Once that's off...
To try and drive up production, Richard and Henry have brought in the manager from their previous factory, Jeff Mason.
I can't get it on and dry.
How are you finding it?
They're tending to be a little bit in the dark ages here, and it's just a case of educating people as to what, the current trade requires.
But Jerry finds that Jeff is in the same mould as his boss.
I mean, I classed Richard as a bulldog the other week.
Yeah.
He don't bite, he just needs a bit of feeding. But Jeff does bite. He does upset people.
Jeff Jeff really gets up people's noses. Yeah.
Jeff drives this place.
Yeah.
And they resent that. They do not like being driven.
Well, how long has he been with you?
20 years.
Guy's been with you 22 years. That's an issue, and all I can do is lob it on the table and say, believe me, that's felt very strongly. Whatever you've achieved, and it's a great deal, you really have pissed everybody off in the process.
Jerry has a simple idea to help Richard gain the workers' trust.
At an appropriate point, get all of the staff together and just talk to them about your own fears and your own concerns. You're people who want to build a business in a very real way. The real you can come across in a way which is far more human than the feeling of this guy who's absolutely frantic. And I think there's more to like and more to respect than your style allows to happen.
I think that's it. Yeah. You haven't pulled me to bits.
Have you ever told Richard that you thought he's done a wonderful job?
No, I don't think I have. Have I? Well, I don't really think it's an issue. Is it an issue?
Having somebody say well done is...
I mean, you're not going to like this, but can I be blunt?
Yeah, of course.
I don't think you've done a wonderful job yet.
Right.
A week later, Richard is still getting over Jerry's first visit.
I'm still quite amazed that he's come up with that I'm aggressive, saying that to me.
It's not that you're aggressive. It's just that you look...
Just the overall
you just look aggressive. I mean, it's just your hair's short. And...
Richard's wife, Amanda, has something to help with his image problem.
Anyway, bought you this, see what you think. Thought lilac was a friendlier colour than just plain serious.
New softer image.
New softer Richard.
Yeah, I mean, do you see me as aggressive, Anne?
Well, not at home, but at work, I think you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people aren't doing the job that you want them to do, they get angry.
You think I'm wrong to get angry?
No, not really.
Think I'm right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get
told off.
Perhaps you'll end up like me. Perhaps you'll end up getting criticised.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, going round now, it's always in the back of my mind as to what he's said about my own personal approach to people, and that's something I'm going to work on over a period of as long as it takes. But when he came, he actually made a few comments that I come across as very abrasive and very aggressive.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think most people found that. You were like untouchable.
I think, like everybody, you've got to sometimes stop and assess yourself and see where you're going and what you actually want from your company. I mean, I asked the guys in here to do a lot of changing, so perhaps it's down to me to do a bit of changing as well. I can't know everything about everything that's happening without being told straight to my face, this is what you need to look at.
Right, I'll be there at 5 then. Do you think we're performing as a workforce now? Because we don't seem to get any feedback from you to say how well we're doing, or... It's just that when you took over, it just seemed that like you was trying to have a bit of a go, that it was all Vernon Road employees that sank Vernon Road, and I feel that was the sort of impression that you gave us. It was us, our fault.
Well, I think in hindsight that was wrong, Sean. That was wrong.
It was us that was
the
doing
approach I came in with was wrong, okay? And I'm telling you that now, it was wrong. But the time I came in here, it was literally hit the ground at a gallop and sort everything out. I mean, we've got no gas, they're going to cut that off, they're cutting the telephone. Everything
but
every
why
day
don't you
was
talk
up
to
to
people
here.
about that and say, look...
Literally,
but we
not
could
have time until now. I've made mistakes. I'm standing here saying in front of you all now, I'm going to put it right if you'll give me the chance. I'm going to put it right, and I'm going to talk to you on a weekly, daily basis if necessary, and put it right. I just need to be given a second chance.
He's humbled himself. He is able to talk to people in a way which says, I've made mistakes. I think there's a chance that Richard, has the ability, and is certainly showing it here, to be different.
We are going to be the best iron finisher in this country. We're certainly going to be the biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest.
It seems to be a bit more happening now, but he's still got to gain people's trust, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, I mean, he came across for the first time since he's been here reasonably well. I just feel that if he wants a good company to be successful, he's got to make sure that he gets the workforce behind him, and we can move on.
When he starts team working, and everybody's a team, and everybody's happy, he'll get bigger profits. Until then, we'll see.
Despite Richard's efforts to win the workers over, one meeting can't stop the slide. The company is still far from making enough money to stay afloat. Richard raises some cash by selling off machinery and cuts back on his own expenses.
Yeah, well, it's a nice colour, it's a nice specification, the combination is good. We'll find a home for that car, not any problem at all.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, thanks a lot.
All right,
cheers.
No worries. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
All right.
But Richard decides more drastic action is necessary. Redundancies.
How many are we proposing from brushing?
3.
The senior managers are summoned to draw up the list.
So fabric preparation, 4.
Dye house?
4.
Transport?
1.
The transport, who are you thinking of there?
Well, it would have to be Shane.
The lad with the fist.
The new lad who's coming.
One thing you haven't mentioned is voluntary.
The only voluntary ones we'll get are the people who've been here for many, many years with high redundancies. And that's the last thing I want, because 1, I don't want to lose the skills because they've been here so long, and 2, I don't want to pay out a fortune in redundancies.
The way he got people together and said, look, I've made some mistakes, I'm going to try a bit harder, that actually felt good to me, and I'm sure people will have reacted very well to that. To then go on and start redundancies, you know, a very short time afterwards, that inconsistency is terrible.
The last 12 workers to join the business are made redundant.
Any exercise of redundancy needs to be done in one hit. You have to do it once, and my advice always is to make sure that you haven't underdone it. The mistake is very often not to do enough in one hit and then to have to come back to it. But for God's sake, do it once, so that people do not feel this thing is hanging over them all the time.
Now the stakes are even higher. The managers need to reassure the remaining workers that their jobs are safe and persuade them to work even harder. Jeff, the factory manager, goes out onto the shop floor with a letter to get the message across.
No further redundancies are planned as long as we continue to meet the expected operating levels.
There were no more redundancies, but if we don't pick levels up, in that letter it said there might be.
And the amount of people in relationship to the tonnage that we are doing is out of balance. And we just want people to sort of move forward without any worry that there will be another set of redundancies or anything like that.
No further redundancies are planned, yet we was told by Jeff Mason, if your tent turned around within the next 6 to 8 months, your factory's shutting.
You have to ask yourself, what would you feel if you'd received that? Feeling the way that I know employees are feeling. Be furious with it. That'll be, that's going to be scrapped.
Just like that. That's where I went. That's all it is, waste paper.
It will have done more harm than good.
All right, Jeff. How's it gone then, all right?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Anybody really...
No, I've gone around an awful lot of people this afternoon and explaining to them the whys and the wherefores as to why people have been made redundant. And
how's it been received?
Quite good, quite good. I think everybody appreciates why it's done and the reasons it's been done as well.
Jerry has seen enough. He returns to the factory and meets with Jeff.
What was the effect of that redundancy program, do you think, on the whole issue of trust? Was that a knock?
Yes, it was a knock against the trust that we'd tried to build, and I think it was important that the whole of the workforce were spoken to individually, and a letter was put out to assure people as you know, that was it. There was nothing else in the pipeline.
And do you think that message has got across?
Yes, yes it has.
Jeff, the factory manager, appears to be out of touch with the workers. But Jerry thinks he should be winning them over. To Jerry's mind, Jeff is the wrong man for the job. It's time to act.
If I was to try and define what was the biggest single thing that you had to do to make this thing successful, it was to have the people on the shop floor feeling good about it, feeling enthusiastic about it. And he's not the man to do it. I mean, he really is not the man to do it. Now, believe me, I know if you've got somebody working with you for the last 15, 20 years, I know that's a hellishly difficult problem for you to attack. I know he has a lot of technical knowledge. My sense is if you don't deal with it in this situation, you will make it not impossible, but close to impossible to get the feeling in the factory more positive.
But at the end of the day, what would you do about it, Jerry?
I would ever so nicely say goodbye to him. I've never been more certain of a people issue than I am about this. It's wrong.
Monday comes. Jerry seems to have won the day. Henry takes it upon himself to give Jeff the bad news.
Time will tell now whether it's right or not, and whether we have done the right thing.
Saying farewell to Jeff after a long number of years working for them, particularly for Henry, I think it's a very difficult thing to tackle, and to tackle properly, that Jeff isn't right for the job in the current circumstances. But my God, it's a hell of an opportunity to do something different in the way that they manage the whole people side of this business.
Henry and Richard rally the workforce.
Come on, we don't want to have to shout. I don't want to shout. Come round. Come on, Mo. Don't be frightened. I don't bite. It is a year today that we actually took over and started running Vernon Road. But we've achieved an awful lot. Do you all understand, what we have actually done? We've got this business back to where it should be. And I thank you for that. And each one of you should feel proud that you've actually achieved that. But I know that's been with a lot of hardships, okay? I know staff morale has been low. I know it's been very low. I've taken steps to try and sort that out. Now, we've made the hardest decision of our business career today. And I think it's already probably gone round the workforce that we've actually let Mr. Mason go. He's no longer here. This guy has worked with me and my father for the best part of 25, 30 years. So it's almost like letting a brother or a son go. It's a huge step, but I've listened to what you've said. I've listened to what other people have said and taken the action that I deemed was needed at this moment in time. There is going to be no more redundancies from the shop floor, the workers, because I know people have been coming to me and saying, are we going to be made redundant? We have to make it work with what we've got here now. This is the team. You are the people. We've got to make it work with who's here now. You guys, I'm asking you to work with me to make this work.
It's an amazing performance.
Say to you, this is the best workforce I've had the pleasure of working with. Thank you very much.
From the heart speech, he's taken the tough decision. Thank heavens, they've listened, they've actually done something, it's real, this is a turning point, and a genuine feeling of a possible new beginning here.
Richard is still doubtful about letting Jeff go. He heads to the shop floor for reassurance.
Does that come as a shock to you?
I think the best decisions you've made in the last year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Seriously? Seriously?
It's been 1 hour since you made that statement. And already 3 people's been down to me. And they're more happy. It was nice to hear you talk about there'll be no redundancies shop floor because there's a lot of people worried.
Well, hopefully they're not now.
No.
One minute he was saying how good he was and all that, and he's worked with him for years and that.
I've never got an issue with Jeff and his working ability.
Right.
That isn't ever what's been up for question.
Yeah.
What is up for question is the way he treats people. I don't know if I've done anything that major. But obviously I'm blinking. There must be something I'm missing somewhere. But
The only one who's really surprised is Richard himself. But he's done it, and bless him, he's done it brilliantly.
I've had 2 people say, best thing you've ever done. Now, I need to really delve into that and find out whether or not it is the best thing I've ever done, or whether it could be the biggest blunder we've ever made in my life.
Jeff has been gone for a week when a rumour sends a shockwave around the factory.
And this morning when I came, someone says that Jeff's back today. And I just ignored it. And I've just been in another room and somebody says Jeff Mason's back today.
I've just seen Jeff. He's definitely back. So he didn't leave.
When we came here, there was obviously massive issues, and his brief was to sort it out ASAP. Now, anybody given a brief like that is not going to be liked, but I still believe, and I'm still 100% confident that he is 1,000,000% for our business. I think
Jesus.
I've got to prove to Jeff that he is 100% dedicated,
Jesus
100%
Christ.
committed.
Jeff had been suspended. Now Richard is giving him a new role.
He's going on to sales. He's going to go and make the customers feel happy about what we're doing here.
I don't believe it. I just...
Richard has a meeting with everybody up the yard and he explains the situation and he tells us Jeff Mason's finished.
He did say that Jeff wasn't with us.
But now he's back. But there's no meeting to say, yes, he's back.
This guy now is away from the factory, nothing to do with anybody, so we don't need to convey that to the workforce because he's not coming back into the general workforce.
I have never, ever seen anything so stupid done in management terms in my life. It's cretinous.
He's outside working from home if he wants to. But he's working for me, directly for me, and nobody else, so it has no effect on them whatsoever now.
I don't know, because I don't think anyone really understands what Richard's doing.
When is he going to get it right? When we've all been made redundant?
It's the uncertainty, isn't it? In fact, you never know what's coming next.
If I worked for Richard and that had just happened, I would be straight out the door because I would never believe anything again. Something so passionately delivered, so convincingly told, and days later, a complete change. I'd be gone.
Jerry sets his sights on a new target.
There is only one sensible thing that you can do here, and that is to remove Richard.
No, but at the time, what I did at the time was correct at the time.
Don't you see that? They would see it as inconsistent. I mean, I'm baffled.
I've spoken to these people hour in, hour out. It doesn't matter what you say to them, they're still confused.
I honestly believe that your skills are not in management, and I think you will continue to have great difficulties with this business.
I think what you're actually trying to say to me, without actually saying it, you're not right for the managing director's job.
No, I am saying that to you. I'm not being very subtle about it. I am saying that to you.
You've come with all this criticism and what would you suggest we have to do?
Oh, I think you have to replace Richard.
But you've got, Jerry, at the end of the day, you've replaced now the 2 top people.
Yeah, but so? When you say that, you know, I'm concentrating on the top 2 or 3 people, yeah, of course I am, because, you know, you are the people that determine whether this thing works or not.
What do we think of that? Bit of a shock for you, I think.
No, Jerry says shocks me anymore.
You're no use in it.
No, Jerry never shocks me anymore. I think it's wrong of Jerry to say that I should, and I don't know if he is saying I should get out now. If he is, I think that's totally wrong.
I think
for
he's
the
saying you
business.
should plan for
But I've
other
always
things to happen
planned that.
and plan for other people to come in eventually when it's up and running.
Yeah.
I actually think that in his heart of hearts, Henry knows Richard isn't right. He's been pretty sort of plain about that within the bounds of the difficulty of actually saying that to your son.
I don't know. I'm just frightened that if I was to pull out now, it's too raw. There's too much happening at the moment. You know, there's still major issues with the business, and I think it'd be wrong to give it just to a managing director and just say, there you go, get on with it.
Get on with it.
Richard also knows, and he's not capable of coming to terms with it as a current issue. He's, you know, there are things he has to take care of now. Maybe in the future, you know, when everything's right, when I've actually sorted everything out, then it'll be right for me to go on and... He's not capable of sorting it out.
But what Jerry's actually saying is that a good manager would be liked by everybody. Yeah?
I disagree with that.
Oh, you've had a lot of experience, Dad. You've been in many, many factories, more than Jerry's been, in actual physical textile factories. And, you know, when you first arrived at a factory, I remember as a little boy, Dad, they hated you.
Oh,
in Northern Ireland, they threatened to club you to death in a petrol station. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
They wanted to club you. But, you know, after 2 or 3 years, you built up that respect and you built up that thing. Well, that's what's happening here.
1 month later, Richard is still unable to motivate the workers. Production is low. The business is sinking. More redundancies are in the pipeline. But Jerry believes the business still has a chance.
I don't think your style is the right style for running the business. I really feel that's an issue, however unpleasant that is.
And you didn't think Jeff's style was the right style?
No, Jeff's style is definitely not the right style. Jeff may be technically very able, and he may be able to dragoon a certain level of quality. And you can solve problems by over-supervising. The only real way you solve it is having the people who are doing the job wanting to do it properly in the first place. You know that.
I know, and you keep saying this, Harry, but you haven't got the answers to do that.
No, but I know some of the answers, and the answers are to do with consistency of approach. And I'm sorry, but you know, we have had an awful lot of change here.
Jerry, in a company this size, you kind of have change. And I'm sorry, I disagree with you terribly, Jerry, on what you're saying. I really do.
Yeah, but we're fighting with our backs to the wall. We've got massive financial pressures behind us.
I understand that.
And you're trying to bring 100 people onto your side while you know you're losing money. You've got to keep a smile on your face. You've got all of these problems. You've got customers ringing me up at home at 10 o'clock at night. Where's my bloody fabric? It's ruined again.
I know I keep harping on about this Jeff thing, but it absolutely demonstrates the root of the problem. You know, the role of management is to actually make a solid decision which lasts. And the Jeff thing, to my mind, is a bloody fiasco. Because there was management saying one thing, doing it, and a week later, reversing it. And tomorrow's another example. You know, the last time we went through the redundancy, we said it should be the last time it should happen. It isn't going to be the last time it's going to happen. So if I'm at the receiving end of that, I ain't a happy bunny. I really am not. And you're not taking that on board. You need to get somebody in to run the business and give it one fresh chance.
If I could find a top managing director of somebody that I would feel happy with, I would love to go off and do other things. I've got lots of other business things in my mind that I'd love to do. I need to leave it with somebody knowing there's no skeletons in the closet. It's showing a profit and then bring the right person in. Or maybe we've even got the right person here at the moment to do the job.
Is there somebody that you have in mind for that?
There's 2 people here I would consider, yeah. I've spoke to Glenn. He wouldn't want it. And the other is Jeff. Now, I know you're totally...
Oh, God.
Jeff, totally the wrong person. I know that your views on that.
If you really want this thing to hum, you absolutely have to have somebody there that they're all behind. I know you think that all I've done is harp on about the people. Business is the people. That is the business. And if you don't get that right, you're dead in the water, and we haven't got it right. And I hate what's happening, Richard. I really hate what's happening.
You've got no answers for us, though, Jerry.
Well, I have had answers that you haven't followed through in terms of, you
Well,
know...
no, to be fair, it's one thing, really. You've told
No,
two things.
Well, Christ, how many things do you want? You know, there are only a very small number of things that you have to get right. One is consistency. Two is the whole issue of doing the dirt once. And more importantly, have someone running it, which isn't you, who is comfortable in running it in that way. Those are pretty big issues. They're not small issues. They're in there is the kernel of the way forward here. And I don't know what you were expecting, but you know, there are no magical solutions in running business. There's one issue that jumps at you time and time again. You must have the staff with you. You have to have them with you. And you cannot have them with you by dragooning them. It really brings home to you that this whole exercise has been the wrong way round, in effect. There's a sense in which they've done people who work here a favour. Whereas in fact, it's actually the other way around. You're very privileged if a group of people choose to work for you and give their all in the way that I know many of these people have. And it's all going to turn to sand.
The next day, Richard gathers the workforce and announces another round of redundancies. 44 people, nearly half the staff, are left without jobs.
We're only talking weeks since Richard said this was the best workforce he had, there were going to be no more redundancies, everything was going to be not exactly plain sailing, but they were going to do it together as a team. Weeks later, this happens.
Is that it?
Yes, yeah.
Finished?
Yeah. Celebrate.
The depleted workforce regroups, and there's a familiar face running the shop floor.
I've been told to come and see you, Jeff.
Jeff Mason is back
Have you?
in his old job.
I don't know what anyone left working for this company is going to feel like, but they can't feel anything other than something close to between horror and resignation. People get into managerial positions because they have the capacity to lead. Always a key ingredient. The trouble with ownership is that, you know, you can cut right across that. You can buy something, you have everybody's lives in your hands, and you're incapable of managing it. And that's absolutely what's happened here.
You've been here a long while, haven't you?
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah. I'm just hoping things do pick up and we can see the end of the tunnel, we know the light.
That's nothing to do with me, that's the textile trade, isn't it?
I think it puts management in a very bad light. I'm really furious about it.